The largest church in the world is in Africa? Around 700 kilometers from where I am seated. Sometimes fact checking means getting the facts checked on the ground. Right from the heart of Accra, Ghana, I made it to Yamoussoukro in Ivory Coast, precisely Basilique Notre Dame de la Paix, or in English, Basilica of Our Lady of Peace. But first, I made a pit stop at Ivory Coast former capital Abidjan. Religion in the country is taken very seriously right from the doorstep. In Abidjan, another wonder embraces the skyline, the National Marian Shrine. It's argued to be Africa's biggest Marian grotto. The Marian Sanctuary is built on the Banco Plateau and overlooks the entire northern part of the Abidjan district. Built between 1985 and 1987, the Marian Shrine has become an important place of the Marian pilgrimage in Côte d'Ivoire. Pope Saint John Paul II blessed the first stone of the building in 1980 during his first visit to Côte d'Ivoire. The complex include gardens, chapel, and a huge statue in reverence to the Virgin Mary. The Holy Father himself suggested that the shrine be dedicated to Our Lady of Africa. It is worthy to note that the sanctuary hosts Protestants, Methodist, Evangelical, and even Muslims. The place is also dedicated to the Virgin Mary as Mother of all graces. Abidjan has other beautiful churches, so it's no shock the country hosts the world's largest church, which I'll reveal soon. But before we get to Yamoussoukro, I pay tribute to one of the world's finest church structures, St. Paul Cathedral, Abidjan. The structure is constructed in the form of the country's celebrated symbol, an elephant. Elephants? Ivory Coast, you with me? Awesome. Let's go to the day's fact-finding mission now. The biggest in the world. The basilica covers 30,000 square meters. That's larger than St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican. And its dome? Higher than St. Peter's too. Quick facts, it can seat 18,000 worshippers and hold up to 200,000 people in its esplanade. Many people assume the Vatican has the biggest church. Well, St. Peter is still the most important church in Catholic tradition, but this basilica holds the title of the largest in size. It was commissioned in the 1980s by Felix Houphouët-Boigny, Ivory Coast's first president. He built it in his hometown, Yamoussoukro, and dedicated it to world peace. While it is inspired by St. Peter's, architects used modern techniques, Ivorian materials, and unique stained glass art, including depiction of African people. Just look at President Houphouët-Boigny kneeling at Jesus' feet. A balcony that stands majestic outside the structure had me wanting to scream, Habemus Papam. Well, the Pope himself inaugurated the basilica in 1990 when he visited Ivory Coast, and on behalf of the Catholic Church received it as a gift from the state. The columns which hold the structure serve as water channels, air ducts, speakers, stairs, and lifts depending on their location. The centerpiece in the basilica is a 25-foot cross suspended above the altar. Now to the crux of the matter. Is this really the world's largest church? While St. Peter's Basilica remains unmatched in religious authority and historical significance, the Our Lady of Peace Basilica beats it in sheer physical scale. Our Lady of Peace rises to 158 meters, outmatching St. Peter's 137 meters. Our Lady of Peace spans a sprawling 30,000 meters square compared to St. Peter's 21,095 meters square. The African Basilica boasts a slightly wider dome reaching 90 meters, inspired by and deliberately designed to exceed St. Peter's Basilica, sits on 130 hectares of land, making it a city-sized sacred space. Aside from the main basilica building, there's an administrative building, a residential building, as well as a facilities management block. The courtyard is expansive with separate garden for outdoor activities. If you think St. Peter's is large or Africa cannot have the largest church, as a fact checker, I advise you to find out just like I did.